of course there is a process of consultation prior to the necessary steps being taken. And we just have to look at the history of the last few months. When we closed the schools on the 24th of March, prior to that happening, we had a whole series of discussions and consultation with the union as to how that was going to be managed in terms of the childcare supervision facilities, the online resources that would be available, the extended hours, the rota system for the teachers. And there has been constant consultation and constant contact between the Department of Education and teachers and their representatives throughout. The union can rest assured, and the history of what's happened in the last few months shows that there has been consultation at every stage of the way, and that is exactly what's going to happen between now and the schools opening in September.
The point that Mr. Bishop made last night is that the teachers' unions in the UK, for example, have already been given descriptive outlines of how these measures are going to be implemented. He says this is not the case there. What sort of time frame do you think is necessary to produce this document, to then consult with the unions and then take their consultations on board to make changes if necessary?
But we're talking of practicalities, issues of circulation and some practical measures in terms of staggered entry and staggered exit from the school, some practical issues relating to the school. There are some further consultation to happen on that, and as I understand it, the guidance document is just about to be finished and about to be shared with the union, and then there will be a few weeks in which to, or a couple of weeks in which to have those discussions with the union to finally implement the guidelines, which will be given effect in September. There is no reason to be concerned at all about that.
So the union will have an opportunity to view this document, make recommendations, and then you believe there's time for them to be actioned before the schools open in September?
Well, absolutely. It's what happened prior to the schools closing in March. It's what happened prior to the Unlock the Rock document being issued. It's what happened prior to the schools reopening on the 26th of May. And it is exactly the same process that we're following now. And there is no reason to suggest or to suppose that that is not going to happen now. On the contrary, there's every evidence that that is exactly what is happening now.
One final concern that was voiced is that of the possibility that the schools might be forced to close or not be allowed to reopen. Is there a plan B in place, or is one being worked on as well?
Well, we've already had the experience of having closed the schools and what works and what might work even better. But we don't want to think of schools having to close. If there is a spike in Gibraltar, we don't know what the effect of that spike is. Is the spike that we revert to phase 5, phase 4, phase 3, phase 2, phase 1, or a full lockdown? Depending on the circumstances of what that spike might be, and we hope there won't be that spike, and the circumstances, the precise circumstances, then the arrangements will have to be made.
I think it's everyone's hope and expectation that the school year can go ahead uninterrupted, but as things stand, there is no solid plan for the eventuality that the schools would need to close entirely.
But if we had to close exactly the same as we closed previously, we developed a system which allowed the schools to open for children of people who continue to work, to have an online facility. There have been some issues raised about the online platforms and what further needs to be done. That is being worked on as well. But what we cannot know is exactly the circumstances that would lead to certain decisions. And therefore our plan is, and our intention is, to have all schools open for all students in September. We have the experience of the last few months, and we will be able to move to whatever the circumstances may be very, very quickly indeed.